Hi, Alison Marsden here from Gardening by Design with a quick video tip. Today, talking about bulbs after flowering. Spring flowering bulbs are a great addition to the garden, and many people will have read that it's good to leave the foliage on to die off naturally and photosynthesize, refilling the bulb for next year. But what do you do to avoid having that dying off unsightly leaves lying around your garden for 6 or 8 weeks? There's no real problem with small bulbs such as crocuses or these snowdrops with the grey strappy leaves. They just disappear into the background. It's tulips and daffodils that are more of a challenge. These fragrant cheerfulness type are still going strong, but they're easily 60 centimetres high. And the question is, what do I do when the foliage dies off? Here's an example of a daffodil that's really going over, and you can see the foliage beginning to lie and sprawl on the ground. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is cut the flower off. Nothing looks deader than a dead daffodil, but the stem, the flower stalk, is very stiff, whereas the leaves are quite floppy. So I'm going to cut that down first, right off. You can see this, right down at the base, and get rid of it. And then I'm just left with the leaves, which are much more pliable. And what I'm going to do with the leaves is just lay them flat and tuck them under the foliage of other emerging plants. So just gather them together. There's a couple of bulbs together here, and just tuck them down, flatten them on the ground. There's another one that I'll lay down the other side of the tree. And as the other plants grow up and around and the leaves just fade out, they're still there, they're still catching enough light to photosynthesize. This one's under a camassia, which is the next thing to flower in this bed, and they will just fade away out of view. Tulips are a bit trickier because of course they're all together more upright and showy. These of course are in full flower, so I'm not actually going to cut. But when I deadhead with tulips, rather than just snipping off the flower head, I will cut right down. So if I were cutting this one, probably even taking out the first leaf with the flower stalk and cut them right down, just leaving these big, you can see where the bigger leaves around the base of this clump of tulips, and those will be enough to refill the bulb. And the other good idea is to plant those big tall bulbs a little bit further back into the border, so they will stand tall above the emerging foliage when they're in flower, but as they die off, other things in front will grow up in, and really you'll hardly see the dying leaves at all. Happy gardening. There's more information on my Gardening by Design website about how gardening supports well-being and how I can help you.